From a young age, I was often asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I always knew deep down inside I loved the idea of becoming a teacher, and as you learn about my journey as a future educator, you will soon understand how various events and individuals I've encountered throughout my life all contributed to my overall aspiration to obtain a career in teaching. Since my very first day of kindergarten at Sequoia Elementary School, I always experienced much excitement while entering a school building. I was thrilled for all the new possibilities that each day would have, and I loved the idea of knowing that I would be leaving school each day with more knowledge than I had before. Although I did love school, I was a very timid child lacking self-confidence in multiple areas, such as my academic capabilities as a student. My mother and grandmother held a tradition every summer where we went to the bookstore after my last day of school and got a new workbook. This tradition essentially helped to increase my self-confidence in my schoolwork, as well as instilled an even greater love for learning inside of me. Growing up, I always found myself spending hours at my desk, reading a book, doing pages in my workbook, or doing just about anything else that had been school-related. Even during playtime, I loved to play teacher with my friends and family, or even my stuffed animals. I also loved reorganizing my work area for fun, looking at the different types of stationery I could use, essentially mimicking different habits I saw my own teachers do. When second grade rolled around, I transferred to St. Peter Lutheran School that provided a more positive school climate for me. As a new student, the teachers and staff welcomed me with open arms. It was almost as if transitioning into that new environment had immediately allowed myself to gain more self-confidence. As a private, faith-based school, St. Peter emphasized to students that their mission was to help and serve others. With this idea in my mind, as well as the famous question arising throughout middle school as to what I wanted to do when I grow up, my interest in pursuing a career in teaching had been sparked. Just as I was getting ready to transition from middle to high school, I had experienced much inspiration from my 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Cheryl Churin. Mrs. Churin set high expectations for students that motivated me to try my best, and I had been very inspired by her growth mindset as a teacher. She had allowed me to learn how to take constructive criticism, a vital skill for individuals to possess in any career, including teaching, and she had ultimately inspired me to become serious about pursuing a teaching career. As I moved on to the next phase of my academic journey at Regina High School, my love for school and education carried on. I enjoyed waking up early and looking forward to working on schoolwork. I had been a very studious student, as I had taken my academics very seriously, being anxious to soak up as much knowledge as I could. Because of still being a somewhat timid student in the beginning of high school, it hadn't been until my sophomore year when I began to get extremely involved throughout my school, allowing me to step out of my comfort zone and create that growth mindset. Similarly to my elementary and middle school, Regina had been a private faith-based school that encouraged students to help and serve others, continuing to inspire me to pursue a teaching career. As I mentioned, I became very involved throughout my high school during my sophomore year, resulting in myself receiving the outstanding opportunity to attend the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar, often referred to as HOBie. So, what is HOBie? Inspired by Hugh O'Brien himself, HOBie is a weekend-long seminar for high school sophomores that focuses on 5 key values: volunteerism, integrity, excellence, diversity, and community partnership. Attending this seminar had been life-changing, as it opened my eyes to real-world problems dealing with education and inclusion that I had very little knowledge about, and it had taught me how to think, not what to think. It was a weekend full of self-reflection, an important factor as a teacher, where I concluded that my specific desired field of study would be special education. After attending HOBie as an ambassador in 2018, I continued to volunteer with the organization, ultimately inspiring me to find other places to volunteer at that would allow me to become more involved in areas pertaining to my future career. I began volunteering at Play Place Autism and Special Needs Center that gave me the opportunity to directly work with kids that had disabilities, assuring me that special education is exactly what I would wish to pursue. Outside of school and volunteering, my family was also another key influence as I chose my career path, as they have been my biggest supporters and inspiration throughout my life. My mom and dad both have greatly contributed to my academic journey, as they have always encouraged me to try my best and follow my calling in life. The same goes for my brother Kyle. My parents and brother have all set great examples of what it meant to be self-motivated and live with the growth mindset. All 3 of them remain as my biggest role models, as I have seen them succeed in numerous areas of their lives. Looking forward as a future educator, one factor that I wish to incorporate into my classroom is music. Based on my academic experiences, I have come across multiple teachers who have incorporated music in their classrooms, from nursery rhymes in elementary school to song parodies in high school, all of which created more memorable experiences for me as a student. As a former member of my school's music program, I directly witnessed the effect music could have on children. For example, during National Catholic Schools Week, I visited various local grade schools with my show choir, as well as our band to perform for the students. My director would ask for student volunteers to come up and join the group, whether it had been by singing or playing an instrument, and it had been evident how much of a positive impact this had on the student. As seen on the screen, music can have a significant impact on students with disabilities as well. Music provides educators another way to communicate with their students who have a disability, giving the students more motivation to learn. As a future special education teacher, I have created 3 ultimate goals for myself. The first being to create an overall inclusive environment for students, regardless of having a disability or not. I believe that it is important to teach students the effect our words can have, thus encouraging individuals to avoid derogatory terms. Secondly, I want to bring out a student's true potential that leads to their success. I want my students to not only feel my confidence in their success, but I want them to feel confident in their success as well. Lastly, I wish to make an overall positive impact in the lives of students and their families. There are parents placing all of their trust in us as their child's teacher, which I do not take lightly. I want to consistently work my hardest to not let down these families as well as these students. Overall, I'm confident in knowing that my true aspiration in life is to become a special education teacher. I look forward to overcoming the different challenges each day will bring, form special bonds with my students and their families, continually learn as I better myself as an educator, and make a difference in the students' lives. I leave you with the quote by Rita Pearson: "Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection, and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be." Thank you.